Guys, what's going on? Welcome to Serial at Midnight. My name is Heath, and I've gotten a lot of requests here to talk more about Mill Creek's TV on Blu-ray box sets. Some of my favorite TV shows ever are on Blu-ray courtesy of Mill Creek. Knight Rider, That 70s Show, Airwolf, Miami Vice, Quantum Leap, The Rockford Files, and I've done an overview, a couple of overviews about my Mill Creek collections and things like that, but I've gotten specific feedback, requests from you guys to do actual video reviews of these box sets so that you know what's in them, what they cover, what my opinions are of the shows themselves. So I'm going to kick that off in this video and hopefully do roughly one a month from that point forward until we're all caught up. But we're starting with the complete series of Community on Mill Creek Blu-ray. Now, a quick overview of this series. It takes place in a community college. It was produced, conceived, executed by Dan Harmon, the guy who would later go on to co-create Rick and Morty. And some of that bizarre genius, actually a lot of that bizarre genius is on display here. And I was resistant to this show. I had preconceived notions. I'd seen an episode early in the first season. I don't remember which one it was, but it rubbed me the wrong way. I've heard so many horror stories about Chevy Chase, and I don't really get Ken Jeong's sense of humor. I don't know that it's for me. And so I had this preconceived notion about what this show was based on that one episode. And my friend and viewer Eric M. sent this to me. He asked if I had it. I was like, no. I did an unboxing video on the channel if you guys want to find it. I'll link to it at the end of this. But I was like, no, I don't have it. I don't think Chevy Chase is funny. I was being very, very belligerent about it. He sent it to me. He sent me this box set as a gift. And I started watching it with my wife. And I mean, by the end of the first episode, I was like, this has potential. Maybe I misjudged this show. Then my wife and I just kind of marathoned them. We watched them all in the course of just a couple of weeks. And I love this show so much now. I don't even know that I can convey what this show means to me because it's so, yes, it's a show about a community college. It's got Donald Glover. It's got Joel McHale in it, Chevy Chase, Ken Jeong, Gillian Jacobs. Here, I'll just read the cast on the back. Danny Pudi, Yvette Nicole Brown, Allison Brie, Jim Rash, John Oliver, Jonathan Banks, Keith David, and Paget Brewster. Here's the thing. It started as a show about a community college, and that's okay. That's fine. But it quickly, by the middle of the first season, it had obtained this meta quality where it knew that it was a show, and it got more and more into that thing, not in an abandoning way, not in a way that feels like it's too cool for you and you have to keep up with it, not in a winking way, but just in a genuinely smart, loving, intelligent, come with us, let's have fun together. It feels inclusive. It became something that I have never seen in another TV show. Rick and Morty kind of does it too, but this is more accessible than Rick and Morty because it's less science fiction, though they do go to some crazy places. But of course, I have to talk about the paintball episode. The first paintball episode is the episode that really shows we're not playing by traditional television rules here. We will go wherever we want to go. And then they frequently just get further and further into self-reference. They establish a world that is completely their own memes, their own comments, their own little bits, special drink, the Troy and Abed in the morning, things that you hear people say and you're like, well, what is that? And then you watch the show and then you're inside on it and you love it. And the Troy and Abed in the morning show, yes, I want that show. That show is amazing. All the little things they do, all the smart references. Community was kind of the beginning, because it started in It started 2010, I believe. See if there's a year on here. 2009. It started in 2009, and I kind of put it at the beginning of what we now call reference culture. But it does it in a way that doesn't feel hipstery or it's too cool for you. Or it also doesn't feel like it's hitting you over the head with the references. There's movie references. They do a whole episode that's basically Goodfellas, but it never says it's Goodfellas. they never call, you know, they're never, it's just the people who wrote this show, the people that made this show, Dan Harmon, love pop culture, movie history, movie culture. They love it so much that it just comes out of everything that they do. The character of Abed is so steeped in pop culture, in movie references, television show references. It's never forced. It never grinds anything to a halt to make these references. They just flow freely, because that's like when fans of certain, like you watching this show, right? Like, we love a certain kind of culture, and we're not like, okay, I'm going to bring up Ready Player One. Ready Player One is a different kind of reference culture. For me, it feels very forced. It draws a ton of attention to itself. Like arguments about, high schools and the John Hughes movies, like all these things that just like stop the plot to a screeching halt. But Community never does that. Community always feels organic. It feels playful and fun, and you are in on it. You were invited in on it. And by the end of the show, I honestly think that we finished, 6 seasons. We finished the show, and by the end of it, I think it's ruined other shows for me. I'm trying to go back to the standard, the standard sitcom model. Not even sitcoms, but just like the one camera comedy show. Trying to go back to those that play by the rules now. It's very hard to do, because this show did not play by the rules. This show did it did a G.I. Joe episode where every character is animated in the style of G.I. Joe, with the voices of many of the characters from G.I. Joe. Like Duke is in there, voiced by Michael Bell. Guys, if you haven't seen Community, and you are a pop culture fan, which obviously you are because you're one of the Serial at Midnight Community members, you love this stuff. So if you haven't watched Community, I really think it's worth a look. It doesn't start all the way. It's kind of cumulative. As you get further into the series, they begin to reference themselves more and more. It builds a world that then, builds on itself, and it goes up and higher and higher, and it just continues to build and to elevate. The first 3 seasons, absolute magic. Some of the best television ever created. I put it up there with any show as the best that TV has to offer. Season 4, Dan Harmon was fired, from what I gather, and it's still okay. It's not bad, but you can tell that the life of the show has left, and that everybody else is just then it kind of feels like a show going through the motions. He comes back for season 5, but unfortunately, that's when the cast starts to drop off. The contracts were ending, people were not re-signing. Joel McHale's there to the very end, Danny Pudi's there to the very end, Gillian Jacobs is, I'm trying to see who else here. But the ones that leave, you feel their loss, because they were such a key part of the show. So I give Community my highest recommendation. This show is amazing. It's smart. The Russo brothers, who would go on to Marvel movie fame, they're a driving force behind this. These are like the co-producers. They directed a lot of the episodes. And so when you have an episode like the paintball episode, there's a conspiracy theory episode that completely messes with every trope of every conspiracy theory movie ever, and it counts that you've seen. Like it assumes you've seen a lot of movies about conspiracy theories. It doesn't insult your intelligence. It doesn't hold your hand. It just assumes you're going to follow along. So it's like, how deep will you go into the conspiracy theory rabbit hole? Well, that was just a conspiracy, but that in itself was a conspiracy. Could this whole thing be a conspiracy? It's crazy, but it's beautiful. It's genius. Dan Harmon, so smart. So, that kind of genius that makes him difficult. I think it probably makes him very difficult to work for. There's stories behind the scenes about, the creation of this show. But I love this box set. We finished the series. My wife and I finished the series, and we didn't know what to do. Like I said, we felt like it had kind of spoiled us for everything else. So we just started it over again. And now we're going through a second time. It's just the best. I'm running out of words to describe this series. So let me talk about the set itself. It has 3 Blu-ray slipcases, 3 Blu-ray cases. I'll take the first one out. This is season 1 and season 2. The way that Mill Creek does their TV on Blu-ray box sets most of the time for full season episodes, for shows that have full seasons, like 22 episode seasons or whatever, they'll do double stacked discs. So for instance, this is season 1, disc 1. Season 1, disc 2 is behind it, and the same goes for this side. This is pretty much how they do things across the board. If it bothers you, listen, I've never had a problem. One of my box sets, it's that 70s show, actually does have a very tiny scratch on the Blu-ray. I miss, like, it's less than 30 seconds of an episode that it skips on that disc. If I had really been bothered about it, I would have reached out for a replacement disc, but I wasn't. So that's the only problem I've had out of all the sets that I have, the dozens of discs. Most of the time, stacked discs do not present a problem. It's not my favorite. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not my favorite. There are other cases that are available. You can buy them on eBay. You can buy them through wholesalers. There are cases that are the same width as this, but they have space for 4 discs. They have a swinging tray with a hub on either side of the tray. I'm thinking about maybe tracking some of those down, buying like a 40 pack or a 60 pack or something like that and replacing all of these. But other than that one disc on that 70s show, it's never been a problem. And that might not even have been related to the stacked discs. And I gotta say, more and more studios are doing this now. If you buy a complete series collection from anybody, not just Mill Creek, but from anybody, the chances that you're going to get discs stacked on a spindle are pretty high. So that's how they do things. And you have three cases for the 6 seasons. When you get up to the last one, seasons 5 and season 6, I'm trying to remember if these are, these have, it's the same situation, the stacked discs, but they have less episodes per disc. These early seasons, when they're full, like 22, 23, 24 episode seasons, you're getting 11 or 12 episodes per Blu-ray, but the video quality is good. Like, it's broadcast HD good. I don't know that it's like Criterion level. I'm sure that they could have maybe gone with a higher encode. I'm not sure, but I do know that video quality is, like, it looks really, really good. It is HD. All the episodes are HD. They're not upscaled. These are good masters. The pilot episode does not look as good as the other episodes, and I suspect it's because of how it was shot. It was probably shot on a different kind of digital video. There's digital noise in it, but it looks like it's inherent in the source itself. It doesn't seem to be an encoding issue or a mastering issue. It seems to be inherent in how they shot that pilot. We're talking about 2009, you guys. So the pilot might have even been shot in 2008. So HD at that point wasn't quite what it would be just a little bit later. But video quality across the board looks really good. Colors look good. Skin tones look good. I see no artifacting, no compression issues for trying to cram so many episodes on a disc. You know, Blu-ray, these episodes are like 21 minutes each. So, you know, you throw 5 hours or 6 hours of HD footage onto a Blu-ray, it can handle it. It can hold up to it. And they look really good. Honestly, let's be clear. This is the best Community has ever looked and probably ever will look. Unless they do like 4K versions of these down the road, which I don't know that that's ever going to happen. This is as good as this gets. There's a ton of special features on these. Almost every single episode has a commentary. Haven't listened to all of them yet, but almost every single episode has a commentary with Dan Harmon or a cast member, writer, whatever. You get a commentary, like dozens of commentaries. There's multiple gag reels and outtakes reels. They're not censored. They're hilarious. They look, man, some of the stuff is like crazy. It's like, wow, this set was insane. Some of the things that Chevy Chase does, some of the things that they say to each other, it's insane. I've watched the gag reels multiple times. What else is on this thing? Let me get the outer box here. Hilarious outtakes, puns, and gag reels. Deleted and extended scenes. It's got several deleted scenes, extended scenes, over 3 hours of behind-the-scenes featurettes with cast and crew. Now, as I understand it, some of the special features that were on the DVD, like a few of them, like less than 5, did not get ported over to these Blu-rays. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's a licensing thing. I don't miss them, honestly, but if you have the DVDs and you're thinking about upgrading, first of all, I absolutely would, because the show has never looked better than this. I don't even imagine the broadcast looked as good as these look. But if losing a special feature is a really big deal, or having like an extended version of an episode from a DVD, like a director's cut or whatever, bothers you. By the way, some of these episodes are extended cuts of the episode. But if that bothers you, you may want to hang on to your DVDs, but I doubt you'll miss them because like I don't have the DVDs. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. There's frankly special features that I haven't even touched yet because there's just so many of them. So I think that's the important notes. I would also say this is subtitled. There's a lot of misinformation out there. The people like, Mill Creek never subtitles their release. Well, these have subtitles. I think Mill Creek's making a real point to include subtitles. Now, the English subtitles. I should also point out that I am 99% sure that this box set is region free. So if you're outside of the US and you're thinking about importing it, I think you can do that comfortably. They should play on whatever device you have. And really, anytime you can get a show as loved, but as maybe neglected, or here's the thing, like the audience for this show is a huge cult audience. They love this show like me. You hear me, it made me a fan. It converted me into a fan almost overnight. But it didn't resonate with everybody because it didn't hold your hand, because it didn't pander, maybe because it wasn't super easy to get into if you're not a certain audience. I don't know that the ratings were ever there for what they wanted it to be. The final season of this show ended up being a Yahoo streaming exclusive kind of a thing. And I think that was really the death knell for the show. If it could have been picked up by the studio itself, if it could have had a little bit more love, if Hulu had been what Hulu is now when that final season came out, I think that we'd be dealing with a different thing. And the motto for Community, even from the very beginning, was always 6 seasons in a movie. The characters would reference 6 seasons in a movie. That was the goal, 6 seasons in a movie. Well, we got our 6 seasons, but we don't have our movie. And we need a movie. You guys, this Community needs a movie. So support this physical media release because it deserves it and it needs more love. So guys, that's going to do it for the Community Complete Series review. Obviously, I'm a big fan. I feel like I've discovered a hidden treasure, honestly, with this show. And I want to thank again. I will always thank Eric M. for sending this to me because who knows if I ever would have given this show the time of day. But he knew. He knew that it would be up my alley. And I know that if you guys enjoy what we do here at Serial at Midnight, that it will be up your alley too. The boundaries of this show, what it was able to do, the meta levels, the parodies of other shows. They do an entire episode of a show where like there's a game called like Lava where you can't touch the floor because you pretend it's lava. They do an entire episode of that show of Community, like where it's lava, but it's treated with like Game of Thrones level production values. Like it is unbelievable. They do a Mad Max post-apocalyptic episode, multiple paintball episodes. The Halloween episodes alone are incredible. I'm raving. Guys, that's going to do it. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for checking out Community, the complete series from Mill Creek. Let us know what you want the next Mill Creek box set review to be. I showed you the collection. Let me know. Pick what you think would be the best next one out of that. Guys, take care. I appreciate you. And until next time, I will catch you later. Do 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 do